Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Matt Madness Wrestling Podcast. I am Ron Pashery, columnist for TJRWrestling.net. I'm here tonight with my good friend hailing from Norwich, England, Mr. Wednesday Night Live, Alo Aaron Lloyd, the European champion. And I'd also like to welcome back, after a brief suspension, Ek2Fly, Eric Trembicki, welcome back.
What's going on?
It is great to see you.
Always a pleasure.
That smiling face.
Brother Ek.
Halo.
That people's eyebrow you did right before we started.
If that's what you want to call it.
So, tonight we have the first show we're ever doing since the face of WWE has been changed forever.
Had a facelift.
The WWE draft could be called an expansion draft, a brand split draft, whatever you want to call it.
Brand extension.
Raw and SmackDown, two separate shows, two separate rosters, two separate commentary teams, two separate terrible writing teams. But the biggest story in wrestling right now is the draft. We discussed last week the network would be covering the draft live. It was going to be on the first live SmackDown. Alo, start with you because I know you said you had some stuff to yell about.
I'll let you go first.
So, I don't know. This is probably going to be a halfway popular, halfway unpopular opinion. I loved it. There was flaws, obviously, because they're never going to do anything perfectly. I thought the way they handled the picks could have been done a little bit better. But I thought it was a lot of fun. Not knowing who was going to get picked. I thought they did a good job at times of acting like, I think Shane and Daniel Bryan were scrambling at one point when someone got picked. I don't remember. I think it was when Enzo and Cass got picked by Raw.
He just threw his paper.
They were like scrambling like, oh, it was like a fantasy draft when the guy's like, oh, I can't believe you took my guy. I thought they did a really good job with that, making it look like we're really drafting guys because, hey, Internet, it was not a real draft. They knew going in who was going to be on what roster, and that's the way it was going to be. It's not like Shane and Daniel Bryan didn't draft a poor team. That's what the roster was going to be.
Also, Mick Foley looking through the trash
bag.
bag.
God, that was so good. As if it was his
gold.
briefcase.
So you mean to tell me this draft wasn't real?
Believe it or not, it was not.
Okay. I thought so. They didn't think so. Because all I saw on Twitter and Instagram, why wasn't Shinsuke taken? Why wasn't Samoa Joe? Because it's TV. You're not going to take on the top schedule. You're not going to rate the whole NXT roster.
As if Shane and Daniel Bryan are like, all right, who's the best guy we could get now?
You know what I popped for? Shane is so-called about the new era, but two of his top picks were John
Old
Cena
guys,
and Randy Orton.
yeah.
I found that hysterical.
So, yeah, but that's what I mean. There's some inconsistencies with it, where he was always talking about giving younger guys a chance, an opportunity. And then you put two of the most established guys that have been there for double-digit years already. But I loved the network coverage.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Every wrestler that went on there gave a great promo. Dolph Ziggler, some of the best work I've seen him do.
No, I told you all his good stuff is on the net. Is on.
I even loved when they said something about how he was the face of the company however many years ago when he had a world title. And they were like, people liked you more then. He goes, yeah, and I was a bad guy then too. Like, I loved that he was just like a normal guy. Everybody was. They got to just be who they are, not scripted promos that was written for them and told them, being told to them to say word for word.
Per Cesaro.
Yeah.
I mean,
what were your feelings?
Per Cesaro and all them, I don't know. My overall take is I thought most of their promos were terrible. I couldn't tell you.
On the network or on
the network?
Really?
I couldn't tell you how many of those people stuttered, mumbled.
Kalisto's was terrible.
Kalisto's was terrible. Cesaro's was terrible.
What?
There was a couple. You thought Cesaro's was good?
Were you drunk playing Pokemon Go?
I don't play Pokemon Go, and I was actually sober for once.
That was a straight shoot.
In defense of Eric, he stumbled a couple times.
Yeah.
And the shame of it was...
Listen.
He stumbled right when he
no harm
said...
in that because he stutters a couple times.
But I'm here every week.
Means nothing.
Cesaro...
Still a B-plus player in my eyes.
Cesaro, unfortunately, stumbled over his words right when he was trying to say, I can talk. That was the unfortunate part of it, was he was like, I'm getting a chance to talk, and I can actually speak English. It's not my first language. I speak 5 other ones, but he stumbled over that part, which was unfortunate. But I liked the content of what he said.
Yeah, was awesome.
It was a lot of real stuff that a lot of Cesaro fans actually talk about and complain about. I thought Booker T was great. He was going in on everybody. He asked the Usos, "Hey,
He
why
was good.
why do you guys get booed now?" Like basically, "Hey,
Yeah.
John Cena, you would have been a number 1 pick 5 years ago. Now you fell to whatever he was,
He's trying to
6 or
cover it
7."
up.
Yeah, I thought he was great last night.
Becky Lynch had a good couple mumbles too. She mumbled a good bit.
See, I don't know if I saw hers.
I did.
Yeah,
I thought Natty's was pretty good.
I didn't see Natty's.
There's no excuse for her, but he's got one for Becky. Give me 1 second.
I have an excuse for Becky's.
Well, Eric, so aside from you not liking the network coverage as much as us,
I'm not gonna say I didn't like
Mhm.
it. I just thought I didn't know if it was a theme. I always thought it was like a theme, like, hey, go out there and fuck up. Go out there and mumble some words, make it not be perfect, act embarrassed. That's what I felt like it was.
So now that leads me to a question I have for you then. Do you think now WWE proved why they don't let people just go out there unscripted?
If they were trying to, they did a great job. Overall, and what I thought of the draft, I thought the draft was good. I mean, just like Halo was mentioning, it is a show. I mean, it's one of those things you see on the IWC, everyone complaining like, wait, they drafted Mojo Raleigh, but they skip over Bailey, they skip over this person, they skip over this person, they skip over this person. It is a show. They needed picks to make sense. They needed to do X amount of picks, and they needed to pick up X amount of people from different rosters. Overall, I thought it was good. There was a lot of surprises, I thought. I mean, there were people that I thought, wow, they didn't get drafted on the main show. There were people at the same time that during SmackDown, they're getting drafted, and I'm like, are you kidding me? They're picking them now? In retrospect, I'm like, okay, you know what? They did that because maybe out of respect, they're like, this person has been on the roster, on a WWE roster for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. We got to pick them up. We can't pick them up from someone ahead of someone we just grabbed from NXT 8, 9, 10, 12 months ago.
So basically, you think they were trying to get across like this person has more of a body of work than this person, which is why we're picking them.
It seemed like they kept, and whether it was them or it was the people in the network, kept putting over the fact that such and such was a former world champion. Wow, we're bringing such and such over to Raw or such and such over to SmackDown. They're a former world champion, and now we got these younger people. They're going to get to work with them. Or these former world champions, they're here to make a name for themselves. Overall, I thought top to bottom, the draft was really good. Just from, it's a mix of dirt sheets / what I think they really don't know. I don't really think they know what they're doing with any of the titles. That's the only part that bothered me of the draft. But besides that, I'm interested, I'm intrigued, I'm watching it, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Now, what were your feelings on them talking about which show is the world title going to be on? Which show is the women's title going to be on? Do you think that's what they're going to do, is leave it as one world title for each, or do you think we're ultimately going to end up with 2 of each?
I hope we don't need 2 women's titles because they can't book 1. 2 world titles, that's fine because they're 2 different. It's seen as 2 different entities. But the draft was okay. People were complaining about the SmackDown roster. Oh, well, how come Baron Corbin was picked before Cesaro? It's kayfabe. They're going off of positioning in the company. So Baron Corbin's going to be picked more than over Cesaro at this point. In my opinion, A-Lo SmackDown is better than the SmackDown roster last night. But the draft was fine. I understand the concept behind it because everybody's bashing me. My brother even texted me saying, "Oh, SmackDown roster is trash." I'm like, but the thing is, Raw has, let's say, they're already made future guys. SmackDown has a lot of talent. It's just not built up yet. But there's still questions we have about this brand split. What's going to happen with the titles? Are we going to get 2 world tag team titles? Are we going to get another women's title? We already know both shows got mid-card titles already. What's going to happen with the world heavyweight title? Or when's Raw SmackDown going to get the other world champion? People also keep complaining about the rosters, how they're uneven. They may be uneven, but there's only 2 things that can balance out these rosters. For example, if you put Kevin Owens and Enzo and Cass on SmackDown, that kind of balances it out because when you look at SmackDown, I mentioned this last week about Dean Ambrose keeping the world title, and he'll have nothing to do, but really, if you look at the roster for SummerSlam. Mm-hmm. If you put Kevin Owens and Enzo and Cass on that show, it's a complete different show because they'll have heels because SmackDown really has no heels on that roster, and Enzo and Cass could be a popular tag team.
Is there by chance someone who was drafted on that roster who should have been a heel for probably the last 4 years who hasn't been? Will he get the chance to be a heel again, Dolph Ziggler?
Yes, I'm praying. I'm praying he ditches the Shawn Michaels thing because I want you to like him. I don't want you to hate Dolph Ziggler, but it also gives chance for people to be remade. Like 10 years, 14 years ago, we would never got, possibly, if there was no brand split, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Edge as world champions. Edge might not become the radar superstar. Eddie might never got his chance. Benoit might never got a chance either. So this is also a fresh start for new superstars to get built back up and possibly become some. But at the same time, I can't see Vince being behind somebody making him a top guy, calling him with a guy named Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
At this point.
Well, that's a good point you just made, because one of the problems I always had with the brand split, especially like getting back into it a couple years ago, was all these guys who were former world champions. So I'm like, Jack Swagger was a world champ. Like, all these guys.
Exactly. Like, them drafting him. He got drafted on the show. Correct?
Yeah. I don't remember.
No, he didn't.
I don't think so.
He didn't? He was past the show?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just a second when I heard
Big
him
Show
get
got drafted on the show.
Yeah, he did.
I was more fine with that than hearing Jack Swagger's name up there. I almost feel like he was on the show, but the minute I heard his name, I was like, what is going on?
Well, yeah, to your point, though, that you just said, Edge may never have been the Rated R superstar had it not been for the brand split. While there are guys who probably will get world title reigns that maybe
at the same time, the brand split made Cena.
Yeah.
If it wasn't two different shows, would Cena be Cena?
Right.
Exactly.
So there may be guys who get elevated more higher than we think they should, but there are other guys who may never have gotten an opportunity who will and may turn out to be the biggest stars. So I do think that was he just made me look at it a little differently than I kind of always had.
I mean, in a weird way, and it leaves that bit of confusion, which almost excites me, because all three of us clearly are marks for the championships. The weird thing they got going right now is each show's got a mid-card title. As of right now, SmackDown has the WWE title, and Raw's got the women's title. It has a mid-card title.
Tag title.
It has a tag title.
And they're going to have a cruiserweight.
According to them, they're insinuating there's going to be a cruiserweight title. So you're telling me they're going to have 4 titles and possibly a 5th, and SmackDown's going to have 1, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's my problem, because remember last week I said Vince does this 2 months later saying Shane's going to run SmackDown, Steph's going to run Raw. You could have did this 2 months ago. You could have built up from that and gave us something new every week.
Yeah.
They didn't do that, which that makes no sense.
I thought that they should have just done, like, in hindsight, because here's what's weird about this. They do the brand split, exclusive rosters. Allegedly they're going to do pay-per-views for each brand. But the first 2 pay-per-views they're going to have are going to be mixed rosters. Mm-hmm. Because Battleground was set up already. SummerSlam is a show that both brands are going to be on.
Then after that, we get
so it's going to be 3 months.
Supposedly Backlash.
Yeah, but it's going to be 3 months before we get a brand exclusive pay-per-view. It's kind of weird. It almost makes me feel like maybe they should have done this back in April or May when they branded the new era. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe they should have just, when Shane was given the keys and Raw was doing well with Shane at the helm, maybe they should have just split it back then, and this would have been built up already, because they didn't take the 6 weeks they gave it to build it up.
They did nothing.
They
did show the commercials.
Yeah, and it just turned into, we're just going to do this thing, which, like I said, it was fun. The other thing is, there were supposed to be 60 picks, and there were only 59.
The hottest undrafted free agent.
Heath baby.
Heath baby.
Is that automatic? He goes to Raw and be with his boys?
I don't know, because the network show ended with him sitting there by himself, the only guy left.
I thought
he was Johnny Man, or he was Brady Quinn.
That looked like Michael J. Day when it was time to make a move after the bar.
Yeah, he was Brady Quinn sitting in the green room all by himself. And then the lights turned out on him. But do you think that 59th spot is for Sasha's tag team partner on Sunday?
We'll get to that. I have speculation about that.
I keep hearing this. We'll get to that.
Yeah, because that's a whole other separate part of the show. Another thing yeah, you've been gone for a while, so you forgot how things run around.
You guys give him a European. I mean, he brought his European belt, and now he thinks he's hot.
Anyway, back to the SmackDown roster. Like I said, they're missing a lot of things, but these guys have to be built back up. Like, Apollo Crews is on that roster. He could possibly be a challenger for The Miz, for example. Like, Finn Balor's on Raw, and I was thinking, Finn Balor, for where he got picked, he is the guy. He's the guy that could unseat Cena from being that top guy and top merchandise and be the face of the company and go be exposed to everywhere. He's the top guy. So, I don't want the club or Gallows Anderson anywhere near him because that made no sense, breaking up the club. They took baby steps progressing the club, and now you break them up, and they canceled the Battle Club trademark. So I don't know what they're going to do with them. But
well, Anderson and Gallows to me are not going to be. They're not right as baby faces.
Yeah.
And you're not going to make Finn a heel.
Yeah, don't make Finn here. I don't want them anywhere near Finn. I don't need it because that's not going to make any sense because it's going to be basically the same recycled storyline they did with AJ. They're going to chase AJ. They're going to chase Finn around, and Finn's going to join. That will make no sense. That won't be good because it wasn't good before. That will make no sense. And then, but with the Miz being the Intercontinental Champion on SmackDown, I thought if he went to Raw, who can Finn be with? And there's only two people I think Finn could be with to make, and that's Jericho and the Miz, because those two guys, them as heels, they have the power to elevate a guy. They do it all the time. They do it with AJ Styles. They do it just about with any other up and coming guy. So I don't know where you guys think Finn's going to deal with first.
I have no idea.
I don't think it'll be Jericho. And then another thing is with Miz being on SmackDown, who's Miz going to face? Because Darren Young ain't going to be great on Sunday.
I sure hope he isn't.
Yeah,
and I don't like the Miz. I just don't. It just doesn't make sense.
Are you turning into a Miz Mark on hanging out with the two of us?
Not at all. Not at all. I hope that's a draw. I hope that match is a draw.
But Kevin Owens, he would have benefited to be on SmackDown because they need top heels. They only have basically two heels in that roster. He would benefit because he would be in the main event. Raw, he didn't need to be on Raw because they have so many upper mid-card guys that can get to that next level. Owens should have been on SmackDown.
Well, not just that, they keep him and Sammy on the same show.
Yeah, and that makes no sense.
What was the point? They teased, if they teased any feud splitting, it was that, and then they kept them together.
They said it has to end somehow, and then together. And Sami Zayn cut the promo and said, I guess we're destined to be together. But
yeah,
they've been hammering the point that they're going to be split, and it has to end. That's the way to end it. Put them on different shows.
Yeah, I thought that was odd myself. Splitting up the club was odd. Keeping those two on the same roster was odd. Couple things before we move on from the draft. I thought that they did a great job selecting the GMs for each show because Mick, as I said earlier, has been a pioneer for women's wrestling since before everybody was kind of on board with it. And I've said this before that Shane comes across almost as a heel a lot of times when he talks to Stephanie. Like he said to her, like, I know every day you wish you were born with testicles. Like, that's not a babyface thing to say. Like, that's a very misogynistic thing to say.
Every time.
Yeah, well, what did she say? She said, well, lady balls are bigger or something like that. And the crowd boos Stephanie. But it's like, I feel like as an enlightened society, we kind of should be on her side. So I love that Mick is a champion of women, and now he's on the side of Stephanie. Daniel Bryan, obviously, we both love Daniel Bryan. You've even said you come around on Daniel Bryan.
I think
him
as a GM, I'm going to like him more and more.
He's great.
I was watching it last night, and I was like, man, these guys are going to roast me when I start liking him.
No, I'm happy you do, because I love the guy. But I think, how great was that promo they had? How great was the promo the two of them had on Raw when they finally came face to face? And they said how much they respect each other, how much they like each other. We never competed. And then Mick said, because Mick is maybe the most versatile performer they've ever had. I mean, the guy had four different characters. He can go from the lovable Mick Foley to he was, stepped up to Daniel Bryan. Well, you're in my way now, and we're competing now, and basically I'm going to beat you because you're standing in my way. I thought that promo was incredible. Maybe my favorite part of Raw.
Did anybody see or foresees the ECW late Resurrection ECW-esque Mick Foley heel coming out?
I would love it if he.
No, when like in 06
with the hardcore belt.
Yeah.
With Edge. Oh yeah, yeah. Because he's easy. He's easy to manipulate. And what my problem was, both these guys can't be face. One has to be a heel, and Mick can pull up that heel role. Because nobody's gonna turn on Daniel Bryan, but they'll turn on Mick quickly because Mick can get it done. Like you said, he is very versatile.
Yeah. Yeah, he immediately went from, oh, it's cool seeing these two guys I love hanging out together, and then Mick just, flipped the switch on him immediately.
I just don't want him to bring Noelle and she start talking. Just stand in the back.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen for a while. I don't think we'll see her on WWE television for a while.
They got Holy Foley.
But yeah, you're right. So maybe we will see her. I don't know if she'll talk though.
She'll be in
Good.
an
Don't
NXT
talk.
roster soon.
Don't talk.
There was one other point that I was thinking of, but now I forgot it.
Mine's the cruiserweights. If you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, do you like the way that they built from Raw into the draft, with Raw ending with a draw, or
Oh my
with Raw
God.
ending with Seth Rollins? They air the replay because I said to you guys
my
in a
God.
text.
That made no sense. Why are you telling me that it's on the network and not WWE? That makes no sense.
I didn't think it made sense either. I thought it was great that they did it.
Yeah, but why aren't
But
they
they didn't
telling
tell
me that
anybody.
and you aren't telling me that?
I think
that makes no sense.
I think Dave Meltzer did a poll on Twitter.
Oh, he is the worst.
He is, but he basically, the question was, did you or did you not know to flip to the WWE network when Raw went off the air?
I did.
And it was
I
like
wouldn't think
99% said no and 1% said yes. So,
Yeah, and Dave Meltzer, he was that 1%. He
Yeah.
did it himself.
well, I did because I just I happened to be scrolling through Twitter and WWE tweeted, switch to the network to see what happens after Raw, and I
Why
switched
are you
it real
tweeting it?
fast.
Talk about it on the show.
Yeah, they should have said it. Because I was annoyed. I was like, you should be showing the replays because it was clearly a questionable finish.
Mhm.
For me personally, because I did see it on the network, that made me more excited for the next day because you saw each side had a vested interest in who's going to have the belt because I want to get that guy on my brand. But I think it was a good couple days for the network because now maybe people will be ready for them to possibly air things on the network
Yeah,
after.
you have this network. That whole cover is awesome. Do more stuff like that.
Yeah. So before we go any further, then what are your thoughts on the cruiserweights?
This made no sense. Don't if you want to have a cruiserweight division, fine. Don't tell me now. Build it up down the road, maybe 2 months from now. Oh, so you're telling me I believe Neville's the face of the division, hands down. But Kalisto goes to SmackDown. If you're having a cruiserweight division, shouldn't you have all the cruiserweights?
He's going to bring a big lucha thing.
You
Well,
should
does that mean Sin Cara's going to be in it?
Sin Cara's on Raw.
Yeah,
Neville's
exactly.
on-
So he
okay,
got in the
but if you're
cruiserweight
having a
division.
cruiserweight title, why aren't all the cruiserweights supposedly on Raw? That makes no sense. They don't further that. They don't tell me when it's coming. They don't say when the title's coming. They only have assuming 4 cruiserweights on the roster. On the Raw roster, we're gonna get the rest of them. You can't have a cruiserweight division where there's 4 guys.
Well, this shows their inconsistency with if Shane is supposed to be the baby face, and you want to say Shane is basically the face of the WWE universe. The WWE universe is going to love a cruiserweight division, so why not have Shane be the one to introduce it? Instead, they have Stephanie, who's going to get booed no matter what she does introduce
Exactly.
it.
It should have been on SmackDown. It would have only made sense. Just like back in the day. But I don't know if they're just trying to refresh it.
Well, another thing is with this cruiserweight title being back, when Rey Mysterio left the cruiserweight division, that title meant nothing. Nobody talked. It was on Velocity all the time. You never knew who was the champion. Gregory Helms had it for a year, and you would never have known. So you have to treat this like a real title. You have to give this title storylines. These people have to talk. I don't want, I know Sami Zayn's near the weight limit. I don't want him nowhere near the cruiserweight title. Neville, he could be destined for greater things, but I do believe he'll be the face of that division. But where are the other cruiserweights going to come? You have to treat this like a real title. You have to give these people time to talk.
Yeah.
And treat it like a real title. Like, I know they can't write a story, but at least try to write a story.
So I have a question related to the draft, but before we get to that, I just want to know. I'll ask you first. So now the draft has happened. It came. They drafted their rosters. We have Battleground Sunday. Are you excited for the new era in WWE?
I am, because as weird as... I thought the draft was great. There were some weird factors to it. But at the end of the day, it's not that typical, I know what's about to happen on Monday, or I don't care what's going to happen on
On
SmackDown.
Thursday or
I just don't
Tuesday.
care. Like now I do care.
Yeah.
It's not on Friday or Thursday. It's on Tuesday. It's different. You got to watch it. It's live. Monday, there's select people. I got to watch them. Always cared about Raw, but, we're all going to Battleground. I'm looking forward to that because at the same time, I have this preconceived notion where, okay, the United States title is going to be on Raw, and I got to wait till Tuesday to see the IC belt.
Yeah.
There is a chance those belts could flop shows.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the next couple of days. This is, as weird as it may sound, and as much negative IWC fans may be, this is an exciting time to be a wrestling fan.
I couldn't agree. How about you?
Well,
nitpicks aside,
okay.
are you excited?
I'll give the power of positivity on this one.
Okay.
I am excited for SmackDown because this is what I already expected. I already expected the so-called ratings guy, Cena and Orton, the bigger names, the older bigger names, to be on SmackDown. So, like I've said, these newer guys have to be built up. Baron Corbin, I think Baron Corbin will be put with Orton after Orton's done with Lesnar. Even though if Corbin does lose, he still gets that rub. I'm sure he'll get a victory over him.
Yeah.
And Cena too, he has to put over somebody else. Apollo Crews may finally get a character. American Alpha's there. Becky Lynch is there. I love Alexa Bliss. Carmella's there. We'll see new stuff on SmackDown and see new stars be built, and that's the kind of the point of SmackDown. We're having the older guard there to build up these new guys. And Raw is going to be the flagship show for the current guys, the current younger guys, to be made into top tier superstars.
So you think Raw is the guys who are ready to be elevated now?
Yes.
And
no
SmackDown
doubt.
are the guys who will develop over time.
Yeah, and they put the older, bigger names like Cena and Orton there
to help ease that process
of
along.
Relevancy. Because if you hear Baron Corbin beats Randy, to a casual fan, if you hear Baron Corbin beats Randy Orton, because this is going to the casual fan. Us be like, we know this, but they're just pushing them. Yeah. But if the average fan said, if you tell an average fan, a casual fan, that Baron Corbin beat Randy Orton, like, oh my God, he beat Randy Orton, he must be good. That's how they promote their business.
Yeah.
He said something there, and it just goes back to what he said earlier. It makes sense, but there's some questions, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, there's questions. I still don't know about titles, but I'm going to give them some time. I'll give them 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, I kind of actually like that because I'm not holding out a ton of hope that they will execute it exactly the way I'd like them to, but it gives them a chance to tell a story about the titles for the next couple of weeks.
In 2002, the titles were exclusive to SmackDown first. What the hell's the point of a tag team division on Raw? The women's title was on both shows, so Trish bounced around from time to time. But what's the point of a tag team division if there's no tag team titles? What's the point of a women's division if there's no women's title? That makes no sense.
I completely agree, and that's why I think it remains to be seen how well this thing is going to be executed.
Now, I got a question for you.
It almost feels like they did not actually even plan it out that well either.
This is not a surprise. This is WWE.
You're right, but they gave us so much time. I would have thought that they would have. Again, a month from now, I may say, okay, they did have it planned out well. But right now, it feels like it was not planned out. What was your question for me?
What do you think about the roster? Because you wanted specific things for these rosters. I know you want women on one show, but I told you they were going to do that because they're not going to separate the audience.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you feel about this rosters?
While I am excited going forward, because like we said, it's a new time. Like we don't know what's going to happen on Raw Monday. We don't know what's going to happen on SmackDown Tuesday. We don't know a month from now what's going to be happening. But yeah, I didn't get really anything I wanted out of the rosters. But I understand that they are two TV shows that they want people to watch. They are hoping that their core audience is going to watch both. So I understand why they did what they did. I just think they could have executed their product better had they kept Cena and Roman on the same show.
Well, you knew that wasn't going to happen.
No, you're right, but I think it makes sense to have them on there because then one show does not have the looming guy who you know is always going to come out on top.
That's wrestling.
It is, but I would like to see a new guy get put in that spot as opposed to we know it's going to be Roman going forward and we know it's been Cena for 10 years. Not necessarily, because
you got Roman, Seth, and Finn on Raw.
Yeah, I mean, I could be proven wrong, and Roman seems to have lost favor with The Office.
And according to the lowdown, Vince don't really like him no more.
Yeah.
Not to me. Nobody said
lowdown is signal for dirt sheets.
No, I deliver the lowdown to the dirt sheet.
My feeling on the women's division was I don't feel that they've put enough time and energy into enough of the women to have an effective women's division on both shows.
Well, they're 6 and 6.
So
to interject real quick, I think one thing that was really cleverly put, and if you go back to the original first draft, the draft happens, and then 6 months later or so, the debut of Brock Lesnar. May not even have been 6 months.
He was there already.
Oh, yeah,
he got drafted.
Okay. Yeah, he was there. All right, to backtrack a little bit. He makes his debut, and what he's called was a free agent. He was coming from OVW. At this point, whether you're in NXT, you're in a different company, or you're a former WWE superstar.
it's coming back.
If you're coming back, you're a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
So Shane kind of hinted to those guys when he said, the draft's about to be over, and after this, we're going to reboot, and tomorrow's a new day. It's time to look at some other things, and he's basically hinting towards there's other things that can happen.
Like, our roster's not set.
Our roster's not set. There's other things we got to go get. We got to go hunt free agents. Right now, there's a WWE roster, and there's a small NXT roster. Between the two of us, we can pick out 6 from here, and then we got to divide this in half.
Yeah.
So after dividing this in half, we got a whole world to see. So that's one thing that excited me because, there was the thing on the internet where everyone was begging for, let's see Kurt Angle again, let's see Jeff Hardy again, let's see this person, let's see Shelton Benjamin. You don't see them, but it doesn't make sense. How are they going to draft someone that doesn't have a WWE contract?
Yeah.
That just didn't make sense.
Under contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now this gives them a real chance where, SmackDown's hot. They just kicked a smaller company out of a Tuesday deal. Like, we're going to Thursday because we're not going to play on Tuesday because SmackDown's coming around.
I think we could have beat TNA.
Probably.
It's basically to the point where, okay, you know what? We're stuck now. You have someone running into SmackDown. It's like someone coming in. It's like if you got Rhino showing up on NXT. This is someone that used to have a career, and he wants to, re-enlight his career. He wants to make it mean something. Well, NXT is the place to do it. Well, maybe there's 3 places to do it now. Show up on SmackDown. Beat up John Cena. It's the in thing to do.
It is.
Well, before we move on, we got a question from the returning babyface Ronald Lloyd.
Okay.
Well, first he had a thought about the draft. He said SmackDown will be a B-rated show. The best reason to watch SmackDown is to see AJ Styles and Breezango. What a mark! Now he loves Tyler Breeze. What a mark. So his question is,
like I said, you're the promoter. You've been promoting him for how long?
Months. And his question is, other than Finn Balor, which former NXT superstar that was drafted last night will have the most impact in their new roles? His pick is Carmella.
Which NXT star will have the most impact in their new roles? I think American Alpha.
Well, earlier I said we're going to get to this later, and it was specifically on this question. I mean, I'm not knocking Carmella, but I think they put her on SmackDown because SmackDown can still help rebuild her. They put her on Raw, and if she's messing up, it's just going to make her look terrible.
Yeah, but
she can continue her development.
She can continually develop on SmackDown, and then a year later, they can trade her off if it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right now that's still a place where she can breathe fresh air into SmackDown. SmackDown can breathe fresh air into her, and they can both help each other.
She's with the 2 best women workers in the company, in Becky and Natty.
Yeah, I mean, in a dream sense, if for some way WWE was smart enough and threw out those penny belts and they brought those 2 old tag belts before they were divided in, I think I'm just going to go on a curveball. If they brought the, Zack Ryder and Mojo are together, if they brought the Hype Bros,
they'll be together.
Obviously, everyone thinks they're going to be together, but I think if they give them a tag title run or in SmackDown together, I think, that'll be the best thing they could do, aside from Finn Balor.
I wouldn't mind. See, well, Zack Ryder, we were all thinking he was. We've been thinking for a few months, like he's about to get, how does Stone Cold put it, the rocket strapped to him or whatever.
It's not happening.
No.
All right, my pick, other than Finn, I'd probably say Alexa Bliss, because she's an awesome heel and she'll be put in positions to be with Becky. I think Becky will be her first feud since she's a heel, and Becky will help her excel.
Yeah, I'm a huge Alexa fan. I think she's gotten really good over the last few months, and I think, like you said, as a heel, she's great. She's got, grown leaps and bounds as a performer since she turned heel. But I'm just going to say American Alpha because I think they're already my favorite tag team on either roster.
Eric wasn't there from the beginning like we were.
No.
That's why he doesn't appreciate
That's
it.
because you guys think you're American Alpha. There's a difference here.
You were not there from the beginning.
So
That's
sick.
why you don't.
I didn't want to be them. You guys wanted to be them. There's a difference.
They're awesome.
So I have a question not
You
from...
think you're awesome. They're awesome. You
The
think
Miz?
you're them. Back and
I
forth.
guess so.
Back and forth. Back and forth.
I-
No wonder you guys like the Miz too.
I just hope they don't put Carmelo with Ziggler.
I don't think they will.
You don't need to throw all women with him.
You're right, but I don't think they'll do that. So I have a question. This week it is not from some alternate version of Ronald Lloyd. It is from the real Macaulay.
Oh.
This is in reference to our first unsanctioned guest, Derek Macaulay. Guy I graduated from grade school and high school with, Chris Macaulay. So he clearly is the real Macaulay based on the person asking this question. He says, Vince is an idiot.
That's your friend.
I was so annoyed during the entire draft. Mojo was a waste, but Vince proved once again that he is a sucker for a comedy gimmick. See Funkasaurus. And the Big Show is picked before Cesaro. So my question is, 2 good pay-per-views.
Speaking
Who is
of
ready for
Funkasaurus-
some shitty programming?
Sign Vince Russo.
Speaking of Funkasaurus, he liked a couple of my Instagram pictures. That was a little weird.
He did.
Really?
He did. His sneaker pictures. He did like them.
What are they? Oh, they're pictures of sneakers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're boys with the Funkasaurus.
I'm Tyrus, no beef. I mean, it's just, you can keep double tapping. I ain't liking none of your pictures.
So,
I think they're terrible.
he clearly was disenchanted with the draft.
Typical.
And disenchanted with where we're going moving forward.
It's not easy to please. I've known that guy for a long time.
So, do you think we're in store for some, as he said, shitty programming?
Yes.
Okay, so you do.
But I'm going in open-minded.
Okay, how about you?
I give him 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
I'm going to watch, though.
Because
We all gonna watch.
I'll watch. But like I said, continuity issues, stuff making no sense. I know nothing. So I'm excited to learn things, but am I going to learn anything? Who knows?
Yeah. So we'll see. All right, so I guess we can move on to the business at hand. Battleground on Sunday in Washington, D.C. Main event. Dean Ambrose defending the WWE Championship against his former brothers-in-arms, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. It'll be the first time we've seen Roman Reigns in a full month. Eric, how do you feel that this feud has been built up with the absence of Roman Reigns?
Being that I can relate to an absence, I'm just going to say, I thought they did a pretty good job. They built it up pretty good. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking forward to it. And as naive as it may sound, I like the fact that I don't know who's going to win. It's one of those things, and just looking at it, and I think I'm looking really too deep into it. And the idea that they're going to, let's just say they don't split up the belts. I think it makes sense. My boy, Dean, retains his belt. And Dean ends up on SmackDown, and you have just the 2 singles belts. That way you have a mid-card belt, you have tag belts, women's belt, and maybe a cruiserweight all on Raw. Leave it at that.
Yeah.
If not, if they're going to be adding in a secondary world title, I think it almost makes sense. It makes sense for Seth to regain the belt. Seth
And then bring
regains
the
the belt.
WWE Championship to Raw.
The reason I say that, if they're going to do 2 belts, at least have, as bad as it sounds, if the women's belt is staying on Raw, have the 2 belts that look the same or in the same show. That's me looking into it too deep.
Well, that's branding.
It's branding. It's branding. I think the mid cards, as much as Rusev's good, I just think by the time someone beats him, it should be somebody that you're beyond excited about. Like I said, they're not going to do nothing with Ryder. It doesn't make sense for Ryder to beat him. I hate The Miz, but Darren Young isn't great. He wasn't years ago. He wasn't last month. He wasn't 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4
And
years
being
ago.
that he was never great, he cannot be great again.
Exactly. So, I mean, that ugly copper penny belt made him better than he ever was.
Yeah.
So, IC belt is just going to, it's doing less for him than the belt's going to do for him. So, there's a lot of things like the belts don't really make sense. I mean, I'm looking forward to the pay-per-view just to see what they do to make it make sense. As far as the main event goes, I like the fact that I don't really know how it's going to end.
Yeah, it's up in the air. So, Roman Reigns, absent for this whole build. We've been talking about this for a few weeks already. We have the Seth walking out of Raw with the belt.
Oh, not that.
And then we find out it was a draw and Dean retains. We have Seth lose clean on SmackDown. How do you feel this has been built up leading? Because we don't have a Thursday SmackDown now, so we've seen everything we're going to see up until Battleground. How do you feel that this story, feud, has been built without Roman Reigns?
Well, they did the best they can. Seth has been awesome this whole time.
How'd you feel about his empty arena promo?
Excellent.
That promo was
Excellent.
good.
Just like the
I
Shield.
thought Dean's was pretty good.
Dean was
It
good
was.
too with the camera.
Yeah,
Excellent.
and he even acknowledged, I started a promo like this a long
Yeah,
time ago.
it was awesome. I thought that was brilliant that
Yeah,
they did that.
Seth saying, "You all pawns in my game." So good. He's been great this whole time. Both the matches were fine. I hate. I mean, how many times are we gonna give these guys a dusty finish? They've done it
Do you mind if I
twice.
ask, which one did you think was better?
I like the Raw match better.
I like the Raw match better, too.
I thought the pace was very slow at the beginning, and it seemed too planned.
When the Raw match?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they actually started at 10:40 instead of
Yeah,
10:55.
they gave him 20 full
so
minutes.
they got a lot of time. That's
How long
one
was the
of
match? Because it felt like a very abrupt ending to that match last night.
It did.
It did not feel like it was built to the finish. It just all of a sudden was over.
After rewatching the finish, they did it great. Because the match ended on Raw with the superplex, and on SmackDown it ends with the superplex countered into a finisher, bang,
That's a good point.
as it should.
And I noticed that, but I still felt like, it ended so
It took
fast.
to my second watch to make it make sense.
I loved in the empty arena promo when he ultimately said, "I will prove on Sunday that when it comes to the Shield, I was always the man."
I like that too.
I thought that was great. And like Eric said, I loved that he was using the Shield camera for his promo. Ambrose, that is.
I'd have liked it a little more if he slicked his hair back.
He would have looked like the old Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
So they were the top two picks. Seth for
If
Raw.
he becomes a heel, he'll do that again. Brush his hair back.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did it again. I think it was a cool look
His
for
forehead
him.
gotta be itching. My hair's getting long right now, and it's starting to itch anytime I touch my forehead.
First two picks, they obviously battled each other on both shows. What are the chances that Roman wins this match? Do you think he has any chance, or do you think he takes the pin? Is he more likely?
He's taking the pin.
Is he more likely
He's
to
taking the
take the
pin.
pin, or more likely to win the belt?
More like he's taking 100%. He's taking the pin.
How about you?
If he wins, do we riot?
Maybe.
When he comes out, we riot. They're gonna riot. When he comes out, they're gonna riot.
I'm bringing tomatoes.
Imagine if he still came through the crowd.
Oh God,
They
I
won't-
know.
Like, this is the first live SmackDown we've gotten, so there were no piped in cheers. They destroyed him.
Yeah, they did.
And now they're acknowledging that he was actually booed.
Yeah, there
Booker
was
T
no
was-
hiding it.
Booker T was even acknowledged. You guys have gotten booed. You guys have been getting boozed to be hanging with Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
This is the
Booker
first time
T
you-
said the fans hate him.
Yeah, this is the first time they
That
actually
was good.
that was the first time they actually acknowledged.
Everyone got quiet. The whole panel
Yeah.
shut up when he
Everybody,
said that.
almost everything Booker said last night, everybody got like this real awkward silence.
Yeah, that's the first time they actually acknowledge him getting booed. They
Yeah.
never do that.
So, Ek, do you feel the same? He's way more likely to take the loss in this match than to take the belt home.
I think logically it'll make sense, and I'm not trying to get arrested in D.C. right now, so he might as well take that fall. No offense, Roman. I mean, we can relate. We've both been suspended. Me, you, and Brock.
Do you think there's any chance of a finish, sort of like the Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe, Baron Corbin, where somehow they both win and that causes the split title? Do you think there's any chance
Who
of
wins,
that?
Seth and
Man,
Roman or
Seth and Dean.
That would be so ugly.
And they
think so.
split the victory, and that splits the two
No,
titles.
We
So-
just saw that. We just saw a draw on Monday. That wouldn't make any sense.
So you think zero chance?
Man, that would be so bad if they do that.
Because everybody was theorizing on Monday that this was how they were going to
All right, well,
split the title.
since you said that, I'm gonna steal Alo's shine for a minute.
All
if you
right.
don't mind.
That's
I
fine.
got a question from Biggie Dan Johnson. So he says,
Notorious Biggie Dan.
notorious. He said, will there be a tournament after Dean loses at Battleground for a SmackDown Live World Heavyweight Championship? If so, does Bray Wyatt have an advantage not having to carry other talent, focusing on a singles title?
Well, he needs Luke Harper to carry him.
Makes sense. Can't wait till his back starts giving out again.
Ask me the question again.
I will. So, after this is his words,
Mm-hmm.
will there be a tournament after Dean loses at Battleground for a SmackDown Live World Heavyweight Championship? If so, does Bray Wyatt have an advantage not having to carry around dead weight?
That is actually a really good question by the notorious Biggie Dan. because
He's always good.
you guys know I love Bray Wyatt. I love the Wyatt family. I love it as a concept. Like the cult leader who's terrifying, who attracts people to him, and they'll listen to everything he says. And they're all these giants
Reminds me of
on
me in
his
high
side.
school.
So you were the new face of fear back in high school.
Yeah.
So you lost all the
people,
time.
people never.
Yeah. So all you did was lose. But they've never been executed the way I would like to see them executed. So and you could tell me both what you think of this. I think he will have an advantage now that it's not the whole Wyatt family with him. He could kind of be repackaged a little bit. Do you think, because I think this would be cool, if he has Rowan with him and he starts recruiting other people into the Wyatt family?
That'd be cool because he's supposed to be a cult leader.
Exactly. You could show him doing what it is that he does in attracting people to his side. I was theorizing he may have been doing that with Woods a couple weeks ago. Obviously, it won't happen now.
I'll destroy that later.
I don't think I was paying so much attention when I saw he got drafted. For some reason, I didn't accept that he was still in SmackDown. So I knew him and Braun were in separate shows, and then I saw Bo Dallas got drafted.
Yeah.
So I thought Bo was going to end up on the same show as him, and then I was like,
been...
oh man, Bo's done shaving. Bo's going to end up with Big Bro. I could see that happening, and again, I hope he isn't running for the world title because, again, me being old school, I don't think he deserves his first title to be a main title. Doesn't make sense to me, but that's just me being me.
Yeah, I don't think he's definitely not going to be their first champion, but I think he
Not
has.
even just that. I don't think he deserves to win it before
He wins a mid-card title.
If he's to an extent, he's injury prone. So before doing that, go get roughed up by Rusev. Go put your sunglasses on with Miz. Go do one of those things.
I think he has a chance to shine on SmackDown now, and I hope that they use him to his ability.
Yeah, I think so too.
Wait a minute.
What do you say? Go ahead.
You guys haven't been shaving. Are you guys being recruited? Man, if you just heard that loud sound,
I'm
lights going off.
I might be following the
I'm not a
buzzards.
follower.
You might see me on SmackDown in the next couple of weeks following the buzzards. I don't know. I might have been hanging out at the compound.
You could bring this back to the Wyatt family, bro.
Well,
you guys dug this out of the compound.
well,
RVD gave this to you guys.
Well, going back to what Eric about the Bray Wyatt question is, I think Bray Wyatt would be given more opportunity, but he had, because I always say he's a driver to the stars, and this is the time that he could actually be a top heel. He's already a top heel, but he basically doesn't back up anything he ever says. So this is a good opportunity for him to be relevant and make some noise if they do have a so-called tournament for the world title. Now, what Eric was saying about him not going off of that mid-card title, that type of character, just like similar to the Undertaker never won the Intercontinental mid-card title. He went straight to the world title, and that kind of character
Bro, we was 1 year old when that happened.
Yep.
It's not relevant for us.
It doesn't matter. It's rough time. He didn't do it. But that character being so
He's hardcore champion.
But that character being so intriguing, he doesn't really need a title unless it's the main title.
Yeah. I think, actually, before we get too far off, predictions for the main event.
Eric?
Who do you got, Roman, Seth, or Dean? I know who you want. Actually, I don't know who you want.
I want Dean to win. I don't have a prediction because I want Dean to win, and if he doesn't win, SmackDown gets a secondary title. In my opinion, the tag titles aren't being defended. The women's titles not being defended. It doesn't make sense for the mid-card titles to be split because at this point, going forward, SmackDown, you're watching it. In my opinion, it just makes sense. If you want to see a championship, you're watching SmackDown for the Intercontinental Championship and nothing else. Yeah. If Dean loses, that's all there is. That's it. There's the only prize.
Well, we still don't know anything yet. I'm just
we don't
tell us something. But it's clear that Seth Rollins is going to win this match. I stated last week on the show, if Dean retains, what the hell are you going to do?
Is this the lowdown? Is this the lowdown? Just wanted to be clear.
You're educating the dirt sheets
right
now?
You're saying it's clear that Seth's going to... I just want to know.
I deliver the lowdown.
Is this being delivered or is this just still talking?
No, this is pure my speculation.
I haven't been here in a couple months.
You should listen when you're going, though.
I have. I usually fall asleep at the wheel while listening.
No wonder you haven't been here. But I think it's clear Seth wins. Like I mentioned last week, if Dean retains the title, what the hell are you going to do with the world title on SmackDown? Because Cena and AJ is still going to be a thing. What are you gonna do? Who's you gonna face? You have no heels. So it's clear Seth's gonna win. And Seth getting all this heat on Roman. It's clear that they're gonna have a match, and I think Seth does pin Roman to keep Dean Ambrose strong. And so that's what I think.
Will Ric Flair be holding Dean Ambrose outside of the ring when this happens?
Being that you said that, what'd you say?
I said, will Ric Flair be holding Dean Ambrose outside of the ring?
Because we're the only people that remember WrestleMania.
being that you said that, going back to Biggie Dan's question, do you believe, and this is me going on my own twist, do you believe that if the WWE title goes to Raw, does SmackDown have enough people to have a tournament?
Yeah, they have a whole roster. Even if you don't have a tournament, you could just say it's going to be what? A battle royal or a fatal 4-way or whatever to determine number one contenders. Just some kind of.
They could just have matches for one episode and say the winners of these matches are going to be, going
to be a new world champion.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can have an over top battle royal for what we know. They've done that before. So I think it's going to be AJ and Cena for the SmackDown World Title at SummerSlam. So that's how I feel about it. And Seth, I do think Seth wins. It's clear Seth's winning.
I am going with Seth as well. I think it makes sense. Like Eric said, I didn't think of it this way, but you have the two titles that look the same on the same show. Makes sense. And Seth is the guy on that show.
I have a silly theory myself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you want to get to it now? Because I'm about to move on to Cena in the club. Okay.
We'll get to this woman.
So we have Cena and, almost said Edge and Christian again. Cena and Enzo and Cass against the club.
They're awesome too.
This is the last time any of these 6 guys will be together because they somehow managed to all be on different shows. AJ and Cena, we obviously know, are going to be a thing moving forward into SmackDown. Do you still think that Enzo takes this pin, or do you think that they actually beat the club in the last appearance of the club?
Well, the club isn't a thing anymore, which makes no sense. So it's
no. There's red click and blue click.
They're not turning Finn Balor heel.
No. According to them, Carl and Anderson, Luke Gallows, they're red click. AJ Styles by himself is blue click. Just telling you what they said on TV.
Anyway. No matter what brand.
I missed you two sitting next to each other.
Anyway. Like I was saying, it's not...
How could he even do this show without me? How did he, specifically?
I'm the heart and soul of Matt Madison.
Yeah, but you don't have this chemistry with anyone else.
I got him. I got a perfect 20.
Yeah, two baby faces sitting next to each other.
Power trip.
There's no power between you two.
Like, anyway.
Not like Enzo and Cass. No glory.
So we're over. The most over act in the company.
Really?
So clearly, since they didn't have that Cena so-called advertised Cena Styles match, and the club isn't a thing anymore, I think Cena and Enzo and Cass win because Cena has to get his win. I think Cena pins AJ because he has to get a pinfall victory over Styles.
So you don't think that one of the other club members takes the fall? You think it actually is going to be AJ?
I think it's going to be AJ because they're not a thing anymore, so it won't
They
matter.
leave him. Think they turn on him?
I don't think they turn on him.
I just feel like there's no steam for this match to me right now.
You know what I do like about it? Just like the title match, it's not a guarantee.
There would be if they didn't break them up.
That's what I mean. Like it took a lot of heat off of them as a group to me.
It takes the whole luster.
Is it not cool that we don't know what's going to happen for a fact?
It's very cool. I love that.
I do know Teddy Long booked this show because there's 3 tag team matches. There's 2 6-mans and a Divas and a women's tag.
Were y'all talking about this recently?
What? Me and Uncle Teddy?
Uncle Teddy.
I didn't call him yet.
I didn't call him yet. He didn't ask you for advice?
I didn't holler at him yet.
So, I don't really have a whole lot to say because, like I said, the club is going to be done very soon. AJ and Cena, I assume, will continue this feud. Who do you think wins? The club in their final performance or the face that runs the place and Enzo and Cass?
I'm going to go with the club. I think the club's going to win.
How about you?
I already went. Cena, Enzo, and Cass.
By the way, I'd be remiss if I did not mention this. That promo segment on Raw.
Oh, that was my God, it was so good.
I thought that was Enzo's best promo on the main roster.
It was.
I thought everything saying AJ had a soccer mom haircut. And...
No, my favorite was the Times New Roman.
Did you see? I thought Cass's promo on the network
last night.
last night, I think that was one of his best.
He was great.
performances.
Yeah.
Everything on the network
seemed,
is gold.
he seemed like he was more comfortable than ever.
Because it's not scripted.
But at the same, it's not scripted, but it is live, so it's not staged. That's the good thing they got going for them, or at least they make us think. It's
No, they had a lot. No, that was definitely like off the cuff, natural, and when the lights were shining brightest on him, and he got to just be himself, he shined pretty bright.
But that Enzo, oh my God, I was on the floor.
Yeah, I thought the New Day were great, and it was great when the club came. The Wyatts are the only ones that I don't think they even talked. And the match, I thought the crowd was so into it. I thought that was even a great match.
Was it 3-4 segment match?
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, so I had to mention that because that was, as much as I said earlier that my favorite part of Raw this past week was the Daniel Bryan Mankind face-off. This was a very close second. I thought it was awesome. So that leads me to the next six-man tag, the Wyatts against the tag team champions, the New Day. Do you feel, Eric, so Xavier Woods, who's supposed to be terrified of Bray Wyatt, had a match last night against Bray.
God,
yeah, I thought they did something that you were waiting for, was Woods being terrified of the spider walk or the crab walk, whatever you want to call it. Even when he just leaned over in the corner, Woods was terrified.
But it made no sense because on Raw, he wasn't scared of him. And on SmackDown, you scared of him?
Well, because it wasn't just him. He had his guys
but still,
in the ring with him.
Still, he was going toe-to-toe with Bray Wyatt in the ring. So now you're not scared of him on Raw, but you're scared of him on SmackDown. Your guys are still on the outside of the ring. So why are you scared of him now?
I hate saying he's making a good point, but...
That made no sense.
He is, but I'm glad that that's the way they went with it. Now, we're not going to see Bray Wyatt and Xavier Woods after Sunday together, but I liked seeing that aspect of it. So you think that they have already botched... Clearly, you think they bought. You have some nitpicks about the way they built this match.
Yeah, that makes no sense. This is clearly a holdover to get the because at the end of the week, New Day's the longest.
I think the compound match should have been a Battleground.
It should have been. It should have been.
I think that was a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, and the Wyatt shouldn't have been split up.
And none of them were even deleted.
Not a single one was deleted yet. You're right.
Should have deleted Braun Strowman.
Well, I think he's going to probably benefit from being on his own on Raw.
Oh my God, they're going to give him a push, and I'm going to be so mad when I talk about it.
Do you think he'll lose the singlet?
I think he'll get completely out of the Wyatt family gear.
Probably.
So you think he's repackaged? Do you think right away?
He's going to go into trunks.
You think so?
I hope not.
He'll get repackaged.
Yeah, I always hope everybody avoids trunks.
Oh, please.
I feel like we should have evolved past trunks at this point. So who do you think then?
I mean, our WWE champion is wearing jeans.
Yeah.
We evolved.
And the guy who we all seem to think is going to win the title on Sunday is wearing long pants. And the other guy who's in that match is wearing long pants.
Well, he's wearing SWAT gear.
Yeah.
Still.
So, Wyatts or the New Day in the six-man tag? Who are you taking? Last appearance of the Wyatts as we know them.
I mean, if they're going to book Bray to look strong, Bray gets the pin. Over Xavier. Xavier's mad at them, and maybe that faults into early in the first 2 weeks of Raw. They drop the titles. I think that makes the most sense. I hope the New Day wins. But
New Day, because the Wyatts aren't a thing. It won't benefit them.
It could benefit Bray, so that's just why.
No, he's not taking a pinfall. Mr. 6 Seconds himself is taking the pinfall.
So this is a battle between who takes the pinfall, Xavier Woods or Eric Rowan.
Eric Rowan's taking the pin.
I'm gonna, and I've been wrong a lot in my predictions. I think I'm gonna go with the New Day just because, like we said, the Wyatts are done as we know them after Sunday. I think it would be great to see Bray come out of Battleground looking strong heading into the new SmackDown Live, but I think I'm gonna take the New Day. And I don't know how good of a match it's gonna be. I just hope that.
Horrible.
I got you. Watch this. Look.
You think so?
I've been going for so long to do your job, just because this is your favorite segment of the day. Since we're in a tag team, since we're in a tag team frenzy right now,
Okay.
Tag team.
I'm gonna ask, who's Sasha's tag team partner gonna be for Battleground?
All right.
Your thoughts?
Okay. Who
I'll let you
first?
go.
Okay. My thought is Bayley first because even though she didn't get drafted, it's still called mystery partner, so they can always have the element of surprise. But
like Eric said earlier, the first free agent signing.
yeah, but she would have to go to SmackDown. She would have to. But This may sound silly, but
He likes silly.
I do.
Last I checked.
I'm on
I
record.
didn't know.
all right. In the matchup screens, what do faces do?
Look straight at the screen.
No, they smile.
Ah.
Nia Jax got drafted to Raw, and she was smiling in her picture. And this, as stupid as it sounds, I think it's Bayley and Nia Jax. And Nia Jax could possibly turn on Sasha after the match to be a one-off thing. But no matter
But
what,
didn't she in her promo say she's coming straight for Charlotte?
who?
Nia Jax?
I didn't watch her promo, so I
I
wouldn't
didn't
know.
She
either, but I
did.
heard about it.
She did?
She said she's coming right for the title.
Okay, so I possibly think it's Nia Jax per her smile. It's Bayley or Nia Jax, but the reason I'm saying Nia Jax is per her smile. But I do think she'll debut.
You would have loved it because so she was at the Performance Center, she getting interviewed, and she got like all choked up, like this is a dream come true. And then she like remembered, like, oh wait, I'm Nia Jax, I'm supposed to be a heel. And then
Alexa Bliss too.
And then it almost looked like she was cutting a heel promo on the interviewer. I don't know if you noticed that. She was like looking right, not looking at the camera, looking right at the interview, saying like I'm coming right for you, and it was kind of weird.
I think if it is Nia Jax, it'll be a one-off thing. She'll destroy them both, and we'll probably get some kind of build up till SummerSlam.
I'm still gonna go with Bayley. Well, this is where I was going with the whole they only actually drafted 59 people. Now, the contradicting thing is they were only supposed to draft 6 NXT members. That would make it 7 if it's Bayley. It's not a draft, but it's just weird that they said there were supposed to be 60 and there was only 59.
Yeah.
I'm going with Bayley, though.
Yeah, and I read the tapings. So Bayley, she really only has a contract signed, I believe, with Nia Jax. And another thing with the women's division, they sent Carmella and Alexa Bliss up, but they also put on TV. Mandy Rose is on TV from Tough Enough. Darius made her TV debut. Liv Morgan got a victory. Billie Kay's the new thing in NXT. She got a win, and she's been facing Asuka on house shows for the women's title.
It's interesting. Yeah, I think it's going to be Bayley.
I'm trying to hang out with Liv Morgan before she gets the title run.
Yeah. Well, you got time.
Christen the belt.
Who do you think it's going to be as Sasha's partner?
Still thinking about christening the belt with her. Ideally, I hope it's Bayley. If not, I'm going to go with the curveball of all curveballs, and I don't even think she's cleared yet. Nikki Bella.
I don't think she's cleared yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I
just want to say something different, man.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Do you like the way they have built up, like Sasha just not getting over on both shows?
No, because I wish this was a one-on-one match for the championship.
That's how you would tell a story. Somebody coming close and you screwing over and she gets a rematch. That's how you tell the story. But you could tell the story this way too. But I prefer the one-on-one match because what Charlotte's doing is being an actual heel and saying, okay, you beat Dana, but you can't beat me and Dana.
WWE was clearly fast-forwarding our episodes where we were saying Sasha should win.
Yeah.
And I knew she wasn't winning the Battleground. And then they actually give her a first loss on the roster last night.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. I did enjoy. I don't remember. Yeah, it was a handicap.
Still pinned.
True.
Saying, they got an excuse.
I enjoyed the. I guess it was on SmackDown. She hit the double knee she always hit.
Oh yeah, on the outside.
Off the apron onto the
That
outside.
was
That was a great
awesome.
move. I liked. For their storyline anyway, I liked that Natty interfered the first night and took out Becky.
I yelled at that. Like, why are we getting a tag team match? But they actually furthered both storylines
Right.
in the situation.
It was like a smart way to do it.
I meant to say this with the idea of her having a mystery partner. What are the odds? They're going different ways after. They were just posting a bunch of stuff from social media together. What's the chances of Natty's her partner?
No, Natty posts pictures with everybody. Natty's not going to be her partner.
Well, Sasha posts pictures with Natty.
Well, she has a match with Becky.
Yeah.
So I don't think she'll do double duty.
All right,
Question,
that's
think
a
about
good
that.
point. That's right.
Why is Becky and Natty pull apart better than men?
I don't know, but that was going to be the next thing leading into that match. I love that pull
It was
apart.
awesome. Sami
That
Zayn
was-
and Kevin Owens get two reps between them, and they got the women in that get the whole locker room out.
Yeah, I don't know. I loved it though. I thought it was great. I thought it made Becky look great going into Battleground, and I thought it led perfectly into them ending up on the same show. That I don't know if this is going to be a thing that maybe this is going to be the first big women's feud on SmackDown. I don't know. It's going to go for a little
They're
while.
going to be fighting until Armageddon.
But before we move on,
It's supposed to be funny. Armageddon doesn't happen anymore, guys.
I know.
Yeah, that
Wasn't
went right.
funny. I clearly do.
That went right over my head.
It was a no sell.
When you said,
I Ultimate Warrior'd you.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh man.
You're Hunter Hearst Helmsley. WrestleMania 12.
How long was that match?
I don't remember. It was real short.
It wasn't long.
It wasn't long.
I'll take you calling me Hunter Helmsley a compliment from you.
Yeah.
It's not like Joe Lapp's calling me.
I'll tell him to call you.
So, in a rare thing, every competitor so far in these two women's matches are on the same show going forward. Sasha, Dana, and Charlotte all on Raw. We don't know about the mystery partner.
That was another thing into my. That was another thing into my pick. I'm like, Bailey would have to go to SmackDown because she needs star power.
Yeah, Natty and Becky both on SmackDown.
Well, just to point out, while your guess of Nia Jax makes sense, she's going to Raw.
I know. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
why it makes a lot of sense. Just it's two Raw girls against two Raw girls.
It does, and Sasha has exuded a certain type of confidence when she's been telling everyone, "I got this."
That's why I think it's Nia Jax.
So it makes sense.
I also think Bayley will stay behind because she wants to be a two-time NXT Women's Champ. Makes sense.
A two-time NXT Women's Champion, or could it be Eva Marie? I'm kidding.
Corey
She's on
that.
SmackDown.
Corey Graves will love that. He lost it when she got.
I know. I love that he did, and then I love.
He's on Raw now.
Yeah, I thought
he's the new Lawler.
So I want to get into our predictions for this, but you mentioned I meant to mention this earlier. I am not happy that King is out and David Otunga is in.
Yeah, no.
I'm glad you brought that up. You know what? I saw this on Instagram.
He is my lawyer, but I'd rather have King.
He is my lawyer.
He's my family lawyer. I'd rather have King.
That was very well played. How did we skip over that?
I don't know.
You know, I read somebody, and it looked like something you would type. This guy on Instagram just put, like, David Otunga, why?
Yeah.
Like, first off...
He was horrible.
First off, who cares about him?
Nobody.
Second off...
Jennifer Hudson is the only person that cares about him.
Besides the fact that he's a lawyer, why is he still employed by the company?
I don't know. I see no value.
Supposedly, did he commentate on SmackDown recently?
When King was gone.
So if he was good, I don't know.
He did one or two episodes, I don't remember, and he was terrible.
They always got to have that other guy.
He was terrible.
He was horrible.
The fact that they had somebody worse than Saxton, to me, you shouldn't be going backwards from Byron Saxton. But I loved that on the panel when Eva Marie got picked, they all kind of got out of the way and let Corey Graves go. They all acknowledged it. Like, all right, you say whatever you want to say. So, ALO, Sasha Banks and the mystery partner against Dana and Charlotte. Who takes it?
Sasha and the mystery partner.
How about
Nia
you?
Jax / Bailey.
How about you?
I would figure Sasha and her mystery partner, just because she took the loss from SmackDown. It's not going to make sense unless it goes to a no contest.
Yeah, I think Sasha as well. Eric, Natty, and Becky.
Becky. It don't make sense for her to lose.
Agreed.
I went back and forth with this because
Really?
Becky's going to be so cool as of now the face of the women's division on SmackDown. And I know they'll probably throw her with Bliss. And then Natty, she'll probably be with Carmella. I think Natty needs it more, so I'll say Natty.
All right, I'm going to go with Becky. So that's, well, we're not unanimous on that one. We were unanimous on the
We've
first
been
one.
unanimous or nothing.
The only one, no, have we? Have we not been? Any of them? I guess not.
Heavyweight
Did you
title,
pick
no?
Seth?
Well, all right, here. There's only one, the two mid-card. No, we haven't been unanimous on anything.
Okay.
I picked Dean.
Well, we'll get unanimous on these next two.
Yeah, probably.
Well, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I was really excited for this, thinking it's the last time we'd see them for a while.
But it's not.
They killed
And
the whole,
now
they
they're
killed
not
the
separated.
whole thing.
So I'm not just
I
being.
thought Sami Zayn, but I don't know no more.
So I'm not being pessimistic. It's not just me that was like, little air was let out of the balloon.
It was let out. It's like, okay, where's the big fight feel's gone now because it's gonna because you'll still see it some way somehow down the road.
I do love when they get into a slugfest though. I always find that enjoyable.
That was so bad.
It was this week, but
it
I
was
just
funny
think
when he threw him the cane. And the fact that he was so mad that he got drafted so late.
Yeah.
Even on the network, he was awesome.
The one guy who really cared where he was drafted. I think though that was nonsense that they got double chokeslammed by Kane. They're your two up and coming guys. You got them on the same brand, and then they both take the chokeslam from Kane. I don't really have anything else to say about it.
That's it. That's all I gotta say. I'm going with Sami Zayn because he needs it because Kevin Owens always destroys him.
How about you?
I think Zayn should win too. I mean, like, I start liking him more and more, but the guy just can't catch a win to save his
Well,
life.
he's the underdog, but Kevin Owens destroys him every time.
The underdog from the underground.
I'll tell you what. Kevin Owens got to be on Raw. He's got to be red hot. He's got to be hotter heeled than he's ever been. And he can't rely on Steph because he should hate her right now.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be his girl, and she picks freaking Sammy over him. He should snap. He should smack her.
Broken
Smack her
Kevin
butt or
Owens.
something.
So I'm also going to go with Sami Zayn. I think he needs the win. He doesn't get them. Often.
Yeah, Kevin Owens is so good, he'll just bounce back.
I remember you said about Troy leading up to WrestleMania when I asked you if he was feeling any better. And you said, oh, poor Troy's catching L's all over the place. That's kind of what Sami Zayn is going through. The 2 mid-card titles.
Is that what they are?
I think
Yeah.
I think I already declared my opinion.
You already
on
said
this.
The Miz. I assume you believe Darren Young will not be great again.
No, Miz.
I believe The Miz as
I'd
well.
rather see Bob Backlund wrestle the Miz.
That would be. I'd pay. I don't know if I'd
probably
pay to
still
see
go.
it, but actually, I guess I would pay to see it because it would be on this
Yep,
pay per view. So we already did. The other one, Rusev and Ryder.
Time out, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
While we're on the IC,
Uh-huh.
short plug. Wale, we're gonna be looking for you in DC. I plan on having the Intercontinental
You can't miss
A6
it.
on, and I wanted
You
to bring the
can't
IC title, but at the same time, I don't even want to bring it. We got Miz and Darren Young competing for the belt. I don't even want to
You'd
bring.
be
the
embarrassed
belt,
to be seen with that title.
It's a boring night. I might bring the old one just for it.
Yeah,
That's
no,
how I'm thinking.
that's not a bad
That's not
idea.
bad, yeah.
So Rusev and Ryder. Any chance Ryder pulls it out?
Throw both mid-card titles over on SmackDown. They already got the tag, and they have the tag division women's and cruiser. Might as well throw both mid-cards over there, but I doubt it. I doubt he wins.
So you got Rusev.
I mean, if it's a ladder match, he's got a chance. That's what
How about you, Aaron? Who wins?
The last time we picked Zack Ryder to win a title on this show, he won.
and
But he won't win this time.
we didn't pick
So
Joey
after
Rotten.
this match, at the end of the match, I think he's gonna do that accolade. We torch back, and think Mojo's gonna come out and we get the hype bros.
Okay, I go with
Yeah, what if
Rusev.
Mojo wins the U.S. title? Oh, never mind. They're going to be on SmackDown.
Yeah, I go with Rusev as well. So that's Battleground. NXT this week was devoted to pretty much one thing:
A
Shinsuke
great
Nakamura
main
and Finn Balor. Alo, because I went to Eric first with the last 2 predictions. What were your thoughts on Shinsuke and Finn Balor?
I think the match was fantastic. It's not. It doesn't pass Zayn Nakamura. It could have possibly done it if it was at a takeover.
Yeah, they
Not-
were playing from behind.
Yeah,
by,
not even a takeover, not at Full Sail. It could have been a takeover at Full Sail, but it lost a lot of steam because it was just an NXT episode. So we'll never know what it could have been. The match was fine. It was a great back and forth match. I always like the face versus face dynamic because there's nobody ever usually has a straight advantage. It's always back and forth.
Yeah.
Guys getting heat on each other. I like that. And they put Balor over to an extent because Nakamura had hit 2 shots.
Yeah.
To beat him.
Yeah, first one to kick out. Probably will be the only one to ever
Well,
kick
not
out of
just
that.
that.
for a
I mean,
while.
also Nakamura kicked out of his finisher.
Yeah, but, when Balor did
the
coup de grace to the
1916.
face,
Oh yeah.
that was awesome. Yeah, he got that in 1916 too.
I didn't
And
realize what
also
happened at first. As it happened, I was like, "What was that?"
Yeah.
Also good for Nakamura. I mean, he's already been two main NXT guys farewell song match.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, he's the guy who sends you out of NXT. He's the one that gets you demoted to the main roster. I thought it was a great match. Like you said, it could have had a chance to compete with his match with Zayn or possibly surpassed it, but being at Full Sail, no offense to that crowd, is just a smaller building, less
But if
noise.
it was a takeover, because even the takeover feels at Full Sail is still loud.
Yeah.
And that was just an NXT TV episode, so it took away from it.
Yeah, it didn't get to be as big as it could have been.
Now it's funny because you say that, and I feel like I'm going to sound a hypocrite for saying this, but we all always want a big match on Raw. We want big matches. Maybe now we want big matches on SmackDown. We used to not. But,
Yeah.
It's like watching those WWE Championship matches the past 2 nights. Like, you knew you were going to get shortchanged ahead of time. You knew there was going to be a shortchange finish.
Yeah.
You knew you weren't going to get, I don't want to say they were bad matches, but you knew you weren't going to get a 5-star classic that was going to leave you banging at the end of your seat. For some reason, and, you always get good matches on NXT TV. something about the fact that both guys kicked out of each other's finishers, and it was not a takeover. Maybe I think that's kind of it was like a little thing in my head. It kind of bothered me, and I feel like if it was a takeover, it wouldn't have bothered me as much.
So you would have.
So you turned into a mark.
That's what we get. I've been friends with you too.
That's what happens when you're suspended.
Exactly. There's nothing else better to do. But I'm glad they treat NXT TV as an important show.
Well, they made that match an event. They devoted 95% of the show to it. We had a great video package. We got to see their kind of entrances through the runway. We got little interviews with the two of them.
20-minute entrances.
Yeah. And we got what? I think it was just about a 20-minute match.
Yeah,
right around. Maybe 22.
Maybe, it was around.
Well, I think it was just over.
I thought it was a good match. I liked how much attention they gave it. I liked the time and energy they devoted to it. I even liked that we got a little bit of Samoa Joe that night because he's almost been lost in the shuffle the last few weeks. Almost since he's won the title.
Yeah.
We asked what was Rhino doing. And I think the cameraman asked Rhino what he was doing back. Now we know what he's doing back. This is a way for Samoa Joe to crush another monster. I don't know where he goes from there, but I guess Nakamura.
As much as we know he's going to crush him, as much as we know he's going to crush him, it almost bothers me like when I'm looking at like wrestling stuff and I see something from the indies and they're advertising Rhino for like late September, early October. I'm like, thanks for letting me know. He's about to get squashed.
No, I agree. But I thought that match was great. I thought they handled it really well. I thought it was kind of a cool episode of NXT in that we just got the huge match that everybody wanted to see. And like you said, it was the second time Nakamura gave somebody their send-off loss. Cruiserweight Classic. Have either of you watched it at all?
I caught it.
It's only been the one episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second one is airing as might have already aired.
Oh, yeah.
Already finished. But as we were speaking, it was airing. I like the way they're presenting it. I like that they're giving everyone a little bit of a promo vignette.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they're telling you where everybody's from. I like they're making a big deal about the widespread diversity of the places where everyone's from.
And you can tell that every competitor takes it important.
Yeah.
You have the respectful guys that come out there and then shake, and then you have the guys that are just pissed off.
Yeah.
You have the guys that don't want to touch each other. You have the guys that touch each other. And similar to like a UFC face-off, they get really close to each other, they shake each other, and just kind of let each other know.
Yeah.
It's about to go.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to go.
Yeah, I feel like they've presented it in a really good way. What were you about to say?
All right. I love the packages before the match to show off each guy. It gives you a reason to care.
Mm-hmm.
My nitpick.
Mm-hmm. The length of the matches?
How come, no. WWE does everything right, as from a presentation standpoint, from this NXT, their video packages, and their regular network programming. How the hell can they book Raw?
Because the guy who oversees Raw is probably not...
Triple H.
Well, yeah. Yeah, Vince McMahon is overseeing Raw. And
writing the damn show.
Yeah, and you can see the difference.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Sometimes when people love a TV show, you can tell... I'll go back to Lost again because I seem to do it at least once every week on the show. You would know there's a director, Jack Bender, who I think was just nominated for an Emmy for an episode of Game of Thrones he directed. People who loved Lost would know when it was a Jack Bender directed episode because just the way everything was shot, the way the emotion that was captured. Not everybody may consciously notice it, but when you watch Raw, you can tell the attention to detail is not there like it is with everything else.
Yeah.
Like Raw used to be, where it was a story from beginning to end. Every story didn't intersect, but you were watching like one cohesive show until it ended.
Which was typically
the main
thing.
Yeah, now it's just like stuff. Like, oh, we'll do this segment, then we'll do that segment, then we'll do that segment, then we'll do that segment. It's just stuff slapped together for 3 hours.
Sometimes you're looking for that main segment and it's not even there.
Yeah, so Vince, I don't know if it's his age. I don't mean to be ageist. I don't know if it's just that he's so concerned with, we don't want anybody to say anything our shareholders wouldn't like. We don't want anybody to do anything our shareholders wouldn't like. If he's just so concerned with being safe, whatever it is, everything they do besides Raw seems to shine. And Raw is the one thing that's kind of just like held down. It's like getting choked. But I think Vince McMahon is the reason why.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Did you hear Russo on Austin's podcast?
I did.
Vince Russo was talking about that. He was saying how when he came back in 2002, Vince had all these writers, and then he thinks at this point in his life, Vince is 70 years old, but he doesn't trust any of the writers. So that's why he always oversees everything. So he tries to play it safe as possible.
That makes me wonder why, because I think it was about a year ago, there was a listing for a position on the creative writing team.
Yeah, I didn't apply.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I looked over the job description and all the qualifications. The qualifications you need, unless you are Dewey Foley, the qualifications you need are ridiculous. You have to have written for a TV show for like 5+ years. You have to have production experience. You have to have all these things. If you're going to those lengths to get people with all these credentials, why do that? Why hire those people and then not trust them to do what you brought them there to do? If that's how you're going to be, that I want to oversee everything, why don't you just bring in some kid who's like, oh, I think I could write the show, and just let entry-level writers do it, and then you oversee them and teach them how to do it.
Exactly.
That's what Vince Russo said. He said, Vince taught me little by little what he wanted out of me, and over the course of 10 years, he became the writer that Vince needed him to be. But he taught him, this is how I want things to be done. This is how I want stories to be told. And during the highest heights of WWE, that's how it was operated. These guys had ideas, they pitched them to Vince, and Russo always says this, that Vince's genius was he'd take your good idea and figure out the one thing that can make that good idea a great idea. And now he's just strangling. He doesn't even let anybody have ideas. Mm-hmm. He just, has a stranglehold on the whole thing.
Yeah, and he goes saying that Vince told him back in the day he didn't want to write the show, but now he's basically rewriting the show because he's going over these 24 writers stories, and he's always revising them.
Yeah, and you can tell, like you said, everything else they do, it has like a certain feel to it.
It just makes no sense.
Raw does not. Was there anybody that stood out to you of the 8 participants?
I already knew about Kota Ibushi, but he was awesome. He was so good. Cedric Alexander was awesome too.
You said he debuted for NXT too, right? At the last tapings?
On the tapings, yeah. Well, actually, a lot of
he signed Monday, right?
Yeah.
He signed on Monday. Or...
Mm-hmm. And but the thing is, a lot of these Cruiserweight Classic guys, they're in the next set of tapings, they're in the crowd and they're interacting with the NXT superstars. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Cedric Alexander was awesome. The guy who stood out the most to me was Graham Talik.
That's what I was just gonna say. I was gonna say the Lucha.
Was so smooth in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And out of the ring.
When he did that spring, if you want to call it a springboard, whatever it was, the way he ran and walked on the rope and flipped.
One foot.
I was like, oh my goodness, this guy's awesome. And then you probably don't like him because he did a version of the Michinoku driver, and that was all the back of your neck.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I didn't like that. I don't dislike him, but my feelings on any type of Michinoku driver variation. Protect the guy's heads and necks. But great match. The guy is obviously a tremendous worker, tremendous athlete. I've told you guys before, I've never been huge on the luchadors. I think the not seeing the face takes a lot of it away for me personally. I get why people do like them, though.
I think it's just a whole part of that genre. It's like you can't turn your back on it. It's a genre that's
they're fun to watch.
And,
like Rey Mysterio was always fun to watch, but I never was a huge Rey Mysterio mark because he never grabbed me.
My whole thing with it, it's like you hear Triple H. What was it? I feel like he said it on a podcast. No, he said it on an NXT post interview, but he says about after Cien's debut.
Oh yeah, that was after the last takeover.
How could anyone put a mask on this guy? Well,
So give him a cat hat.
That's
and
fine.
suspenders.
That's fine and all. You say that. Some people take the mask off on them, but some people,
there's like a mystique you have
exactly
with the mask.
Some people buy into
it can become part of your personality.
Most Hispanic fans of wrestling it's just something you're grown up to. So you have a kind of natural interest in it. Because it's something that was in when you were a kid, or something you heard about, or something that you watched when you were little. It just makes sense.
Now, do you have a personal experience with that, or
no? I don't. Me personally, I know people that do, and I just know it from back then. I mean, even Even if you look at Ray, I don't really know Ray from his world title runs. I know him kind of from his cruiserweight runs, and he was. Aaron made a good point. When he was cruiserweight champion, that belt mattered.
Mm-hmm.
That belt was he the first one to hold the WWE version? No. Once he got it, it was red hot. It was red hot. You cared about that belt. That was probably the best sales that a toy version of that belt ever had.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You know, people cared. People wanted the mask. They wanted that. And then you fast forward, whatever that was, 04, you fast forward 10 years later, that boy's so red hot. You know, people cared about him in WWE.
Yeah, well, last thing, I guess, because we don't have a whole lot to talk about with the Cruiserweight Classic. There's only been one episode and 4 matches. I know we were all excited for it. Did the first episode live up to your expectations?
Yes.
Do you like the way it was presented, the way the matches played out? And Daniel Bryan and Mauro Ranallo, great commentary team.
So here's my question for you guys, just because you went to that. And I guess this is my only thing I got to say about the whole CWC until we see the second episode and we talk about it next week. Daniel Bryan doing commentary. Him now being GM. Does this affect what we listen to him do as commentary for the rest of this tournament? Yes or no?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's that's his job for this. He's got to do it the way he does it.
Do you think during commentary we hear him acknowledge tonight that he's a GM?
Yeah, they'll acknowledge it. Down the road, yeah, I believe they'll acknowledge it.
Yeah, I think it will be acknowledged. I think it kind of sucks, though, that he's not the GM on the show that has the cruiserweights on it, because that would have made so much sense. But, Aaron, so it lived up to your expectations for what the Cruiserweight Classic would be.
Yeah, because like, with this, like, NXT spoils, I'll read that. Because I already kind of know what to expect from you guys. I won't read spoilers for this, because I legitimately want to be surprised. Yeah. I want to... And they're giving those video packages before the match to show you a reason why you should care about the guy. And it gives you a little background on where they're from. And I want to be impressed. I want my heart to be taken away from these guys. And Kota Ibushi was excellent. Gran Metalik was like, wow. Cedric Alexander was awesome. And another thing is, a lot of these guys also, they're actually wrestling. Not just flying open. No. They're actually wrestling. They ain't like Daniel Bryan put over. Cruiserweight is just a weight, not high flying. It's just a weight, and these guys are still wrestlers.
And Triple H, I think, deserves a lot of credit for the way it's being presented as. Yeah, it's being presented as culturally diverse, and as far as wrestling as an art form or, you know, an athletic endeavor, it's showing you all the different styles that you can have in the ring.
The thing I like about it is you're also going to get, if you see someone's match, and whether they win or lose, you're sold on more of them, you're going to be like, man, I hope they sign this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get us invested in a bunch of guys who may end up on the roster in the next year.
So the thing I really like about it, it's 32 people. 2 of them are past stars. How many NXT stars? 1 star, 2?
It was
3. It's like
it was Gargano and Ciampa
and
Rich Swann,
and
who kind of.
So you got and Ibushi, in my mind, doesn't count because when we watched him last week, he didn't have the contract.
Oh yeah,
so that's the thing I'm saying. Over 25
we're
of
being
these people
introduced.
Don't have contracts. That's awesome.
See, yeah, it is.
Like when you're unsanctioned episode with Russ, you asked about Gargano and Ciampa. I think Gargano is going to be. I think he's in a bracket with I think Ibushi or Sabre. I can't remember which one, but I think Gargano's can go to the semifinal round and put one of those guys over to say they beat an NXT guy.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I think Ibushi wins the whole thing.
Yeah, I think so too. Either him and Zack Saber's winning the whole thing.
Yeah, it's one of those two.
I think
guys.
it's Ibushi because he was been shown prior to this.
I'm looking forward to seeing Tony Nese.
Yeah, I want to see our guy from House of Hardcore kill it.
He was great. I mean, we were in the front row there. Never heard of the guy.
Yeah,
neither one of us
killed it.
And we both walked away like blown away, specifically by that guy. And now we get to see him on a bigger stage with better talent.
See if he busts up his knees again.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens.
Even the presentation of the ring. It's not. They have different turnbuckles.
Yeah.
They have the CWC and Tap logos in the ring. It's just
different style turnbuckle.
Smaller ring.
Is it a smaller ring?
It's
I don't know.
The size of NXT. It's not a WWE.
Well, no, so they have the Tap Out logos and the Cruiserweight Class logo in the ring. Gives it a whole different kind of feel than WWE.
Yeah, it does. Do we have any questions?
Oh yeah, I got one more question from Donovan the Lodo and Lloyd.
Okay, no relation, obviously, not related.
All right, well, he had 2
parts. Still not related? Man, nothing changed. I feel like I never left.
He had a gaming question, but I'm not sure you guys can answer, so I'll answer that. He wants to know.
Was it about Pokemon Go?
No.
Okay, because I couldn't answer that.
That's Eric's game.
No, I don't know anything about Pokemon.
I catch something else in Pokemon. I'll tell you what it is now.
I may play Pokemon Go. I'd rather do that than review Fully Loaded 98.
Heat already.
Yes. All right. His gaming question was: do you think they should go back to having multiple attires like they did in some of the old wrestling games? Well, they kind of do in the I don't know if he has WWE 2K16, but in the showcase Stone Cold Steve Austin mode, he has alternate attires including wrestlers he faced. And also, with the current guys, you can go to Community Creations and download it, and then you can also edit to have it as their alternate attire. If you're not sure, I'll be gladly to send you the link because I do it all the time. But his question for the show was, what do you guys think has been the best pay-per-view this year so far? I'll tell you my answer. My answer is Payback because it was top to bottom was a great card. Other than Enzo getting hurt, but from top to bottom, there wasn't a bad match on that show.
I agree, just because I enjoyed where I watched it.
Yeah, my clean house.
the cleanest house in Delaware.
I don't think you want to be plugged that he lived in Delaware.
I don't want to be unanimous, and I know this will probably change if I'm answering this question at the end of the year. This will not be the answer, but I'm going to go with the first pay-per-view of 2016, the Royal Rumble.
Solid.
Because one, I thought that Rumble match far surpassed the last couple we saw. I thought it was a great match.
Much to top after that 2015 one.
It was a great match with Ambrose and Owens for the Intercontinental title.
You know, I wish I said that. I'm not going to go back, but I was just thinking about that yesterday. You know, it's funny. You know, I was watching Dean's match, and I was just like, you know, it's funny. He always gets the seesaw effect on how they get booked. Don't forget, he went in there, won his match for the Intercontinental belt, and then went into the Rumble.
Yeah.
You weren't with us, but we didn't think he was going to be in the Rumble.
Yeah.
Then he made it to the last two.
Mm-hmm.
I had his number in the
Did you really?
So
you were so close.
I was so close, but I was like, he got the Intercontinental, he ain't winning.
Yeah, I like that. Sasha made her return after whatever it was, like an 8-week absence at that time. And we had, what was
AJ.
the other thing? Oh, the debut of AJ Styles. That was one of my favorite moments of the year so far.
And
hearing that music, seeing Roman looking up at the screen like, who could this be? And then I wish they would have gotten it on camera, but hearing the crowd go nuts, and then it's AJ Styles. We had heard about it. It was speculated. I think we all assumed he'd be there. But just to see him finally arrive on that stage, take that 90-second walk down to the ring, slowly get into the ring, and then the first time you see him in a WWE ring, he's in there with Roman Reigns. The next big thing. I think that was maybe my favorite moment of the year so far.
It's such a shame they destroyed Roman on that show.
Yeah.
All you had to do was screw him. That's all you had to do.
And they didn't. They had him take a
nap.
break.
And get thrown out clean. Makes no sense.
Yeah. So that's my favorite. So we got 2 for Payback, 1 for the Royal Rumble. Donovan, thank you for the question. Thank you to the real Macaulay. Thank you to Ronald Lloyd.
Thank you, Real
And
McCall.
was there one other one we had?
There's one more thing.
Uh-huh.
This beautiful trio will be at Battleground this Sunday in Washington, D.C. So when you see us, I'm the only black guy. Just look for the 3 guys with the beards. I will be the European champion. So buy us beers, buy us food, buy us whatever. We take anything free. We take all kinds of gifts. We take pictures. We kiss babies. We do everything. We do Make-A-Wish.
I kiss your
Come
girlfriends
see
too.
us.
He'll
steal them.
Yeah, we will have a camera with us as well.
So you want to come talk? We'll even have you on camera. Just come say hi. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, Mr. Wednesday Night Live, thank you for making that announcement.
Yeah, Wednesday Night Live.
We would like to thank our listeners on Podbean, iTunes, anyone who watches us on Facebook or YouTube, our listeners in the United States.
Oh, our newly listeners are on Stitcher.
Yes, Stitcher as well. We're finally on Stitcher after a while. You can find us on there. It's a little bit easier to use than Podbean. Should update within 2 hours of the time we're on.
You can find us on Bumble. It's like Tinder and
MySpace.
Yeah, as always, we'd like to thank our listeners in India and Pakistan, as well as the new listeners we picked up.
Instagram, Matt.madness_podcast.
Yeah, we'd also like to thank the new listeners we've picked up in the United Kingdom. Thank you for tuning in for the last 3 months.
I'll take credit for that.
With the European champion over here. For Mr. Wednesday Night Live, Alo, Aaron Lloyd. For Ek2 Fly, Eric Trembicki. I am Ron Pashery, and we will see you next week.
Bye.